So let's talk about Premier League champions Liverpool. After 3 games, 9 points, perfect start for them. How do you rate their transfer window 1 to 10?
Man, breaking records. I think it's 440 mil they spent. If I'm mistaken, I'm not sure. Actually, was that with or without Gay? I'm not sure, but it's over 400 million pounds, which is we've never seen anything like it before in football. So this is a world record. It's hard. It's hard to give it a grade when you're spending that much because I mean they better be good players, right? They better like you're breaking the British transfer record twice in one summer. So yeah, but to be honest, I think they've done great. I think the players they've signed for those prices are the best players they could have possibly signed in those positions, or the best one or two players. Like they've done a great job. Isak, great signing. Verts, great signing. Those two, I think they are special players, and they'll show it under this management, under Slot.
Just looking at the 11 you got on the board there.
Yeah.
So that's one, two, three, four, five
Right.
changes to last
Yes,
season's
it's a
11.
lot.
Obviously, Trent had to be replaced,
hmm
and they signed Jeremy Frimpong.
Yeah.
Kirkez, I guess he's bought as an upgrade to Andy Robertson.
Yeah, he's getting older now, Robertson.
Florian Wirtz, another, they paid over £100 million, so he
Yeah.
better be an upgrade
hmm
on Shabozlai. And then the two strikers or two attackers they signed, Ekitike and Isak.
Yeah.
Firstly, let's talk about Ekitike and Isak. How do you think they'll be able to form a partnership? And do you think this is going to be successful? Because they are two similar profiles of players.
They are very similar, right? They're rangy, they have pace, they're skillful, great technique. They're dribblers with height. There aren't too many of them around. I think because they are both this exact profile, I expect this to work. Like if it, most of the time you got two strikers and you're putting one off to the left, I feel like it's gonna be a less natural fit. But these two, the great thing is both of them can and probably like coming in off the left at certain moments. So I expect them to switch around a lot. I'm expecting Isak to start up front a lot of the time with Ekitike here, but at times Isak will go out left. Ekitike will be the guy with playing with his back to goal, but it will shift at times to a front two as well. And I think it's gonna be down to Slot to get the balance right for the right games. But I think this works perfectly because you've got a player here. If we compare to Gakpo, who plays here a lot of the time right on the left, Ekitike and Isak both have pretty much everything he has anyway, plus extra. So there isn't really a concern in that regard for me. Um, but yeah, it's just maybe you don't want either of them to be too far out wide left, but that front three, in fact, that front four, we should be seeing a crazy amount of goals, a crazy
Okay.
amount.
So let's really talk about Wirtz as well. Obviously, he was their record signing until they signed Isak.
Yeah.
How do you think he slots into this team, and how much of an upgrade do you think he is to Shabazz? Like what what do you think he's gonna bring to the team that Shabazz couldn't necessarily bring?
Yeah, I do think he is an upgrade on him. Vitz is a type of player I love, just like personally, because I think a lot of his things are that make him special are quite subtle movements, subtle passes. He's not got the physicality in terms of speed or size to like hold off players, dribble past several players, maybe do put a long shot. That's not him. For a lot of people, you feel like if you're gonna be worth 100 mil plus, then you better be someone who you can, do everything yourself pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's not that.
Would you say his main thing is his IQ?
Yeah, definitely. His IQ is his main thing. What he does is he quickens up play in congested areas.
Mm.
right? So it's something that you might not see in one action the effect of. But I always say with someone like a Vet, you always think of how does the situation look after he's touched the ball. You know, even in the game so far, which I don't think he started very well. If I compare to last season, and so, some of the credit can go to Ekitike as well because he's a very good player in comparison to the guys they had last season. He's a lot better technically holding on to the ball, things like that. But you, you get the ball with him. The first pass is maybe not the obvious pass. It looks like a safer pass, but then it's the pass that allows maybe Salah to then pass to Ekitike, and
Yeah.
it's very fluid. It
Yeah.
allows things to be more fluid. It's hard to show in single actions, and for me, that's crazy valuable because what it does is it allows these guys to just receive the ball in dangerous positions more often.
Mm.
That's what happens when you have players like that. That's what they do.
You think you'll enable them to be more efficient in the final third this season as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think a player I could compare him to, definitely not as good as, but is Iniesta because Iniesta has a bit more in terms of I'd say his dribbling ability in central areas,
Yeah.
and he's just so special. He's one of the best players of all time for me.
The ball was glued to his feet,
Exactly.
Iniesta.
Vietz isn't quite that, but in terms of, I remember him being quite underrated before, and in terms of the actions, the special actions, the subtle actions, he's very similar. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the fullbacks that they've signed. Frimpong and Kirkes. Frimpong, a completely different profile to Trent.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be very interesting because we've seen them briefly in the Community Shield, and in the first game of the season as well. It looked like Kirkes was playing more of a defensive role than he's used to at Bournemouth and AZ as well, where he was used to overlapping, running down the wings, and it looks like Frimpong's is the one with more of the freedom to do that this time. Do you think that's gonna be how they set up, long term in terms of Kirkes setting up in a kind of a back three and Frimpong overlapping? Because I'm excited to see both of them overlap in certain games,
Yeah.
because the amount of attacking options that they would have, it's gonna be
Yeah.
very interesting to watch. And
I agree. I want to see them both bombing down. I think you know what, if it is Kirk as part of the back three, kind of in the long term, I actually then think that causes a lot of problems when I
mm,
look at that front three being fully effective because they're going to need Kirk's overlapping for Ekitike or Isak to be effective on the left, to be as effective as they can be. I think in certain moments it's going to be that back three in during games because Frimpong can't do it on the other side. He's not the best defender. He's quite simply. But what I saw in the Community Shield was a real bravery in terms of the tactics because these two, Kirkes, yes, he would start there, but he would still get forward a lot. It's a very difficult role for him. And I think you might see in moments, especially this first season, maybe be caught out of position and things like that. Liverpool fans should give him a lot of grace because if you think about what he's been asked to do, yes, he's standing next to Van Dijk a lot of the time, and then sometimes you're going to see him overlapping the fullback. It's a really tough role
mm,
to master, but Arne Slot seems to think he can do it, and I think so as well. I think what they're going to have to do is be very good in possession here, try and limit the amount of turnovers they have. So Salah can't lose the ball too often. Ekitike can't lose the ball too often when they receive it. And then that will allow them to pick their moments really well when they overlap. That's going to be the key. And that's where I can see the team being open and maybe losing some games where they're not getting that perfect and they are very susceptible to counter attack. Because if these two are out of position, these two fullbacks, and it's just one up against those centre backs, to be fair, pretty much the best centre backs you could ask for to deal with that. But still, they're only two men. You know,
Yeah.
you can't deal with that all the time. Gravenberch, a lot of the time, I think, will be the guy who drops in here, right?
I think he's the key.
That's the key to this whole thing working, because if he drops there, these guys can kind of go a bit higher. Kanate can spread a bit, Van Dijk can spread a bit, and then the balance and the is a bit better there.
Yeah.
Wirtz may have to drop in a little bit as well, but yeah.
And I think we saw an example of that. You've seen it this season already because Gravenberch was out of the first two league games, and we saw Kanate get a lot of criticism from those two games, and then the game against Arsenal, they didn't really have an issue defensively.
Yeah, it's true. In fairness, Arsenal were, kind of attacking with one guy at a time, but it's still Arsenal. It's still the top team, and yeah, exactly. It wasn't as it didn't look as much of an issue for Liverpool.
They weren't as open.
Yeah,
it's just that like Konate's and Van Dijk's jobs. It wasn't as difficult as it was in the previous two games, especially Konate's job because he's doing the covering as well as coming playing high up the pitch to stop centre back. It's a hard job covering for Van Dijk in the high line.
Yeah, exactly.
When there's no protection in front as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, Gravenberch definitely has helped them.
Just thinking about all of this together, it's such an ambitious system. An average manager probably messes this up and they look like a mess at times. I'm basically backing Arne Slot to get it right most weeks. Any tweaks he needs to make based on opposition, he's the guy to make it work. This isn't a system that you're just going to be able to throw out every week and just like not change anything and expect it to work. Some weeks they may win 6-3 and that's fine. I mean, I think that's what they want, and that's me as a neutral, I want to see when I'm watching Liverpool games.
Entertaining
exactly football. He's one of the last ones left in my opinion that really cares about entertainment. But yeah, it's going to be about getting the balance right as often as possible.
Yeah, definitely. So where do you see Liverpool finishing this season?
I've got them as champions. Despite all the concerns I've laid out, I back on the Slot. I think there's so much firepower. I think we could see a record in terms of goals scored for a Premier League team this season. I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I expect it to work for Isak. I expect it to work for Ekitike. I don't think Salah's done yet. I think there will be games we're watching Liverpool thinking, oh, you can get at them. And as I said, it's going to finish 5-2. And it's just going to be enough to get 90 plus points that I think they'll need to win the league in the end.
Okay. You think they can do a little bit better in the Champions League as well this season?
I think so. In those really big knockout ties, though, I would be interested to see how he switches things up because a PSG up against a PSG with Frimpong there, and I don't know about that because you've got Kvara, you've got Due, that could really be taken advantage of. So he's gonna have to adapt things, I think, in those games especially. I think it's really interesting that they were going for Gray because I actually thought that he could at times have been used kind of like the role he's used at Palace as a wide centre back. He could have been used as a fullback where one of them stays back and he adapts things. Just to kind of change things about a bit. He could have been at right back or at left back in certain games, not many. I'm talking like 2 or 3, 5 games in the season. But that's the key. I think another thing, Frimpong, I don't think he should necessarily be a guaranteed starter because I like Bradley, and I think Bradley might be the choice in bigger games because he's probably better. He's definitely better 1v1. But yeah, they have a chance. Because that's the top team. They have full of world class players, so they should be aiming when you're spending that much money for both league and Champions League. To be honest.
Okay.